I'm going to say some things, and quite honestly, I don't care how they make me sound. Earlier this week, there was a press conference in front of the United States Capitol. It wasn't your run-of-the-mill press conference with congressmen and senators. It was with Congress members and senators, but also had a conference with members, people, actually, survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Janelle Maxwell. They spoke out and they pretty much exposed what happened to them. I won't show you any of the videos, any video clips from it. I have respect for the survivors. After watching it, I range from two emotions: anger and complete total sadness. Sadness that none of these victims or their families, because unfortunately some of their families had committed, some of these survivors, victims, committed suicide. Their families stood and talked. The tragedy from it all, excuse me, is the fact that none of them had received justice. A good portion of them have not received the full measure of justice. Our government, on both sides of the aisle, have worked painstakingly hard to cover this up. The truth about who was involved, how, and why. I'm going to say this at the onset. This issue of molestation, especially when it involves children, it shouldn't be a partisan issue. It shouldn't. It shouldn't be a right versus left issue, blue versus red, conservative versus liberal, Democrat versus Republican. It shouldn't be an issue. None of this should be about politics. And for any fair-minded American and fair-minded human being, it's not. I have told people, and I've said on these videos over and over again, I don't care who's on the list in those files. If they've done something nefarious to children, even if I voted for them, if I support them, lock them up. Arrest them, bring them to trial, and found guilty, which they will be, lock them up. But unfortunately, for some people, this is a partisan issue. And the only people who are making it a partisan issue is Donald Trump and the MAGA. And we all know why. Now, we don't know what's in those files. We don't know if Donald Trump's name is in them. We don't know who else could be in them. His donors, his best friends, people, Democrats, senators, Republicans. We don't know. But I will say this. I could care less on who's in those files. Lock them all up. And a lot of people on both sides of the aisle have said the same thing to me. They support this. Hell, the reason why Trump is in the office is because Donald Trump said he was going to release the files. He didn't release the files. He has had his people in the DOJ and the FBI cover it up. not because it has classified information, not because it's important to national security, and most importantly, the same excuse I've heard personally, not because to protect the victims, because the victims are already talking in press conferences. I mean, this week they were in the press conference. NBC actually interviewed them. News outlets, mainstream news outlets, have exposed them. The victims are talking, so they don't have anything more. The only people who did show a report about this is Fox News, ONN, Newsmax. They're trying to sweep this under the rug. Donald Trump himself was asked in the press conference with the forgive me if I'm wrong about this, the Poland president. He was asked himself, do you know about this? Do you support this? And he called it, in his words, a Democrat hoax, trying to distract people away from the success, quote unquote, success that this country has had since Donald Trump became president again.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
The simple fact is this, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump is acting like a very guilty man. If I'm wrong about any of this, I will be the first to shake his hand and apologize. But when you have a person who screams to shut up about this subject, who goes out on social media and calls his own supporters idiots for bringing the subject up, who calls this a Democrat hoax while the women are actually talking about this, who we have evidence that Pam Bundy, the AG, and Kash Patel, the FBI director, are covering this up. What does that indicate to you? That he is guilty. And more to the point, and ask yourself, and this is where I'm going to go to the Al Pacino mode. In case you don't know, the movie And Justice for All. Why would these people be lying about this? These women who have exposed themselves to lawsuits, at best, and direct threats from Donald Trump and his supporters at worst. Why would they expose themselves? Why would they lie about something this big? Simplest answer, they're not lying. They are not lying about this. That's the point. They're not lying. And here's the thing, none of those women, and I watched this press conference, none of those women mentioned Trump. No, hold on. I overstepped. The only one time that they mentioned Donald Trump, they asked Donald Trump, you are the president, release the files, you have the power to do it.
A person who has chosen to serve in an elected position to stand up for those you represent who cannot always stand up for themselves. We are those people. We are the Americans that you promised to protect, and we need your help. Please, President Trump, pass this bill and help us. Make us feel like our voices are finally being heard. Thank you.
They didn't accuse them of doing anything nefarious. They just asked them, "You're the president, release the files." This should be easy for anyone to do. But unfortunately for Donald Trump, it is too hard because he's trying to protect his friends or he's trying to protect himself. Because he knows what went on with Epstein. He knows. Which brings me to my last point here. One of the congressmen who was up there was Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. She wants the files released too. The thing is, Marjorie Taylor Greene, this woman could care less about what these women, about what the survivors went through. You had years to try to talk Donald Trump or at least go against him. You didn't do it. For years, you had time to say Donald Trump is wrong. You had the perfect opportunity after January 6th. You didn't do it. That little showmanship using the survivors of sex trafficking, I'm sorry, but I can't say the words I want to say because of YouTube rules. Fact is, you've had years to talk against Donald Trump. You didn't do it. And now you see your part in all this. You have a chance to speak out against Trump, to use them to do it. Go back to whatever office you crawled out of, Mary Jean, and shut your mouth. Because when the time comes, your time in Congress is over. And I'm not the one saying that. Oh, no. Guess who is saying that? Members of the MAGA are saying that. And you got people saying that. You have people like Lauren Loomer, a woman that you had the extreme beef with, screaming at the top of their lungs, "You're doing this only to become governor or senator." The real joke to all of this is that you think that you can use these women, these survivors, you think you can use their bravery to justify Donald Trump. No. You're finished. Don't use their sacrifice, their bravery to justify your support for Donald Trump. And Trump, I'm going to say this to you one last time. You know, I'm tired of being diplomatic, tired of giving you the benefit of the doubt, tired of you acting like you're innocent to proven guilty. Lord knows that you and the rest of your administration does not give my throat's dry. Does not give the same courtesy to anyone else. Trump, you're in those files. You flaunt your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein at every single opportunity, which means we know that you did something nefarious to children. I'm done playing the nice guy with you. The reason why this story keeps getting the press it does is because of you. And one way or another, your presidency is going to end in disgrace. Either a few months from now or the end of your term. Everyone will know, and everyone in history will see Donald Trump, the 45th and 47th president, sexual offender. This war you're waging, we're going to see America, sending American troops there, and that is no threat, Trump. That is a promise. That you are a sexual predator, a failed president, and a traitor. Now, as much as I want to give Mary Jean Taylor Greene some credit, I'm not. But more Republicans are asking for it. And those screams are going to get louder and louder and louder. So what are you going to do, Trump? What are you going to do? You going to release the files and expose yourself as a sexual predator, or are you going to jail us all? I would love to see that happen. I would love for you to try it. You can't jail us all, Trump, and you can't cover up the fact of what you are: a sexual predator, a failed president, and a traitor. Justice, one way or another, will come when you are behind bars. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.